Hello everyone and welcome to Poser's Full Movie Recaps. In Hibbing, Minnesota, a young boy named Evan is at his apartment watching a scary movie on TV. When he hears a noise outside, he sees a man taking out garbage into the bin, but when he is about to go back to his house, the man hears a strange sound coming from under the car. Curious, he leans down to investigate but gets violently pulled underneath the car. Sometime later, the man's disappearance has been reported to the authorities, and two detectives come to the area to follow up on the investigation by the local authorities. Sammy and Dean are brothers who usually investigate the supernatural occurrence, and the two thinks that there is something unnatural about the man's disappearance. Disguised as state policemen, the duo goes to Evan's house to ask the boy about what he witnessed. Being a young child, the boy tells them that he hears a weird noise outside and saw that Mr. Jenkins, the missing man, gets pulled under the car by an unknown assailant. Dean asks what this sounds like, to which Evan answers that it sounds like a monster. His mom expresses her skepticism about what Evan heard that night. Since her son was watching a scary film at the time, she dismissed it as a child's wild imagination. Without anything more to go on, Sammy and Dean head to a bar to regroup, and discuss that their dad marked the area as having a phantom abductor. The small town of Hibbing has a higher than average disappearance rate, and this prompts the two to continue their investigation. The past abductions seem random to them, since the culprit takes anyone at any time from anywhere, which has no clear pattern. As the two leave the bar, Sammy heads outside first as Dean wants to take a leak in the toilet. Outside, Sammy hears a strange noise and leans underneath the car, but it turns out that the sound comes from a cat, so he continues walking to their car. When Dean comes out a minute or so later, he finds the journal that Sammy was reading earlier and there's no sign of his brother, as if he vanished into thin air. Dean tries to ask some people around and spots a security camera but otherwise no clue. The next day, Dean goes to the local police station to ask for help. The officer named Kathleen asks about the circumstances of Sammy's disappearance, which Dean answers as honestly as possible since it is about his own brother's well-being. He then passes himself off as an officer and tries to get a lead, but the deputy refuses to take him along or give any more information. He tells her about the traffic camera at the scene where Sammy disappears, and insists on tagging along since his brother's life is on the line. Kathleen sympathized with Dean's plight, as her own brother Riley had disappeared a few years before. Meanwhile, Sammy wakes confused inside a steel cage in a barn, while the local deputy gives Dean an image of a trailer pulling out of the parking lot just after Sammy left the bar. While Dean and Kathleen are discussing the security photos they get, there is an old truck passes by and gives off an odd noise, which matches what the boy Evan described. Sammy finds a prisoner in the next cell, who turns out to be the missing man, Alvin Jenkins. Sammy informs him that he's been looking for him, to which the man sarcastically answers that it looks like a piss-poor rescue. Sammy assures Alvin that his brother Dean will not rest until they find them, so they just have to stay alive until then. Suddenly, two hooded figures enter the barn and give them food, and Sammy quickly figures out they're just people, not unnatural monsters. Somewhere else, Kathleen quickly sees through Dean's impersonation as they track down the truck, and for a moment, she considers taking him in. Dean desperately asks her to let him continue to find his brother, and just arrest him afterward. The deputy considers this and agrees to his begging, because she remembers the time she's been looking for her own brother. At the barn, Sammy rips an electrical cable hanging from the ceiling, which causes Alvin's cell door to open. Alvin rushes out and promises to get help for Sammy, despite his warning that something seems off about his sudden escape. After Alvin leaves, the cell doors swing shut again and lock automatically. Outside in the rain, Alvin finds a knife and runs through the woods. Not long after, he gets ambushed by a guy who keeps hitting him with a pipe. He tries to escape but another man appears from nowhere who finally takes him down. As the wounded Alvin goes on, he trips into something, and the two men caught up to him. Finally satisfied with their game, the men finish Alvin as Sammy hears his screams. As Dean and the deputy continue tracking down Sammy's whereabouts, Dean asks Kathleen why she's helping. She finally reveals that her brother Riley disappeared the same way a few years back, and finding Sammy might serve as a closure for her. When they track down the truck, Kathleen prohibits Dean from joining her with the questioning, as the man is still a civilian. Dean insists and the woman acts as if she agrees, but tricks the man and handcuffs him to the squad car before going to the house to investigate. Kathleen proceeds to knock on the door, and a dirty teenager named Missy receives her. The girl acts strange when questioned, who turns out to be a distraction while her father sneaks up and knocks the deputy out. Dean seems to sense that danger is coming, so he quickly tries to grab the car antenna and use it to pick up the handcuffs. As the two guys from last night approached, he manages to get loose in time and hide, while the men take the police car away. Kathleen gets locked up in Alvin's previous cell and informs Sammy that his brother has been looking for him, but she handcuffs Dean in the squad car. Suddenly, Dean enters the barn and rushes to Sammy, while the bewildered deputy asks how he gets out from the cuffs. As Dean tries to figure out how to open the cell door, Sammy informs him that the culprits are just people. Sammy is confused about how they are not monsters, since the brothers are used to dealing with supernatural killers. Kathleen asks if Dean sees a black Mustang out on the property, to which the man answers yes and figures that it belongs to Kathleen's missing brother Riley. Dean is not able to open the lock from their prison, so he decides to sneak into the house to look for the key. As he enters the basement, he finds several disgusting jars of the murderer's trophies, as well as photographs of them with their numerous victims. Going upstairs, he finds a man cutting something while music plays on an old Victrola, and he stumbles across the girl, Missy, who he thinks to be harmless. Since Missy is in cahoots with her insane family of murderers, she stabs Dean, pinning his jacket to the door frame, and yells to her father to call him out. Dean gets uncaught from the knife and fights the man who tries to capture him, until another family member clubs him over the head and knocks him out. As Dean wakes tied to a chair, Papa Bender, the leader of the family and father to the 3 children, boasts about how his favorite hunt is human. He brags that they've been doing it as a family for generations, which makes them feel powerfully alive every time they finish their victims. He asks Dean if his disappearance will bring in more cops to their property, and gives him a choice of selecting the next victim between Kathleen and Sammy. When Papa Bender threatens to put out his eye, he picks his brother as he has more chance of escaping the insane family hunts. Papa Bender gives the key to his son Lee Bender, and orders him to shoot Sammy inside the cage. Lee goes to the barn and opens Sammy's door, but Sammy has the bracket from the cable he pulled down earlier and throws it at the guy. That buys him enough time to take the guy out and get his rifle, but when he tries to use the weapon, it jams. When Lee didn't answer Papa Bender's call, he sent his other son named Jared to go out and investigate. Jared finds Lee unconscious to the ground and the power is cut off. He searches the barn for Sammy and Kathleen jumps Jared, but the man quickly overpowers the deputy and throws her down. As Jared prepares to shoot her, Sammy distracts the man, and as he turns to fire at him, Sammy ducks, causing Jared to shoot his own father as he enters the barn. Sam then rushes to knock the shocked man, and quickly goes back to the house to find Dean while Kathleen covers Papa Bender's. When he laughs about finishing her brother Riley, she shoots him and walks out of the barn. Kathleen meets with Sammy and Dean outside the house, who have locked up the girl inside the closet. When asked about Papa Bender, Kathleen claims that he gets finished too for trying to escape. Dean expresses his condolences for losing her brother, even if it happens 10 years ago. The deputy thanks him and tells them that she thought it will get easier as she gets the closure for Riley's disappearance. But it's not really easy losing a family even if it happened a long time ago. Kathleen tells the brothers to hit the road before the cops arrive, and they go strolling down the road, arguing how they understand killer monsters but some humans are just crazy. Subscribe to watch more videos like this. You can also hit the notification bell and like the video to help the channel out. Thank you.